spend an hour together. And we're not going to plan your whole year out, but we're going to set you up for success. We're going to do the framework so that when you leave this call, you will be crystal clear on what it is you want to create for 2020. You're going to have 3 guiding points that will guide you every week in planning your week so that you have your best life 2020. Okay, who's in? Okay, a few things I need to mention before we get started. 1, this will only work as much as you work. Yay, I'm so glad Rosa's ready. Somebody's ready. Woo! Okay, Carrie's in. Awesome. So don't forget, if you're just coming in, your beverage of choice. I'm not going to lie, I'm having a glass of wine. Look how cute this is. You fill it up to here if you're nice, and then if above that it's naughty. So tonight I'm going to be nice. All right, but it can be tea, you can have coffee, you can have water, soda, whatever you want. And make sure you have at least 6 pieces of paper and a working pen. That is super, super important. Okay, so what I want to share with you, important guiding point, is that think about someone who flies a plane or who is a captain of a ship. What do they do? What do they both do to get to the destination they're going to? They put in some coordinates, right? You don't just leave it to chance. So you put some coordinates. Okay, so this is the equivalent to us on New Year's Day where we're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going to set some goals. And then you set some goals and you never think about it again. But that's not what captains do on planes or on ships. They don't set coordinates, set it and forget it. That's absolutely not what happens. Because what happens? Storms hit, the wind hits, you have to adjust your sails, you have to reset your coordinates. And this is what happens with life. A New Year's, when you set your goals and you don't think about them again and you're not consistent, life is going to happen to you. Your life will involve storms, unexpected surprises, uninvited guests. And so you need to be consistent with your planning or else you won't get to where you want to go. Okay, is that fair? So that's the number 1 thing, is that the work we do here today won't be of much help if you don't use it for the rest of the year. All right, so can we pinky promise that we're going to do our best to use what we learned today for the rest of the year? Or at least, whenever you remember. It's okay to fall off the wagon, but whenever you remember, you're going to utilize what you learned today, because you remember that life happens and it's important to adjust your coordinates and act accordingly. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves up. We're going to do 3 things today. We're going to do a little visualization. Now, I'm going to ask you just to humor me and visualize with me and trust me. So for those of you logically minded people, you're going to have to set your logical mind aside just for a little bit and just go for the ride, okay? So I want to encourage you. We're going to set ourselves up. You're going to have to trust me. The next 2 things we're going to do is we're going to calm our nervous system down. Calm our nervous system down. Get in tune with ourselves, because this is guiding point number 2. You are the expert of you. No one else is an expert of you besides you. So I need you to be able to connect to yourself and not to would, should, could, and what you think other people think. I want you to connect to you. So here we go. We're going to take 5 deep breaths. Inhaling in through the nose if you can. If not, through the mouth is fine. Inhaling into the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling through the mouth to the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling into the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling to the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling into the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling to the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Next, I'm going to ask you to make the sound hum. Again, we're trying to calm our nervous system down. So we're going to make the sound hum, H-U-M. You're going to make it as long as you can. And then when you can do it no more, you're going to inhale in and start again, okay? Inhaling in a deep breath. Hum. Remember, even if you think this is silly, you're trusting me. Inhaling in. Hum. Okay, placing our hands on our hearts, you're going to say the following. I trust I am the expert. 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 You are the expert of you. And for this hour, you're going to trust that you are the expert. Okay? So I encourage you, you have the rest of your life to overthink things, but for this next hour, you're going to trust in yourself and you're the expert. Okay, in order for us to know where we want to go, I need you right now to bring your awareness inward and to visualize. So if it helps you, close your eyes. I usually close my eyes because if I keep them open, I start focusing on everything else besides what I'm trying to do. So if you need to, close your eyes. If you need to, place your hands on your heart so you can focus inward, or hands on your belly. Both of those work very well, or one in the other, one in both. Okay, ready? Are you with me? I'm trusting that you're with me. All right. I want you to visualize your best life in 2020. You are going to visualize your best life. So I want you to picture your living environment. What will it look like if you are living your best life in 2020? What does your living environment look like? Who's with you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Just take a moment to revel in the thought of your absolute best situation in 2020, your living environment. Think about what it is that you want it to look like. Next, I want you to think about your health. What is the absolute best version of your health in 2020? What does it look like? What do you look like? What are you doing? How does it feel? How are you meeting your day each day? What kinds of things are you doing? How do you feel? What do you hear? What do you see? What does your absolute best health in 2020 look like? Next, I want you to think about your relationships. If you were living your best life for 2020, what do your relationships look like? Who's with you? Picture how it feels This is the most important part of all of this is how does it feel? Your absolute best 2020. How do your relationships make you feel? Who are you in your relationships and how do they feel? Next, I want you to think about your faith, your spirituality. What does it feel like? Your absolute best version of your spiritual life in 2020. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How does it feel to be at peace and complete wellness and happiness in your spiritual life for 2020? Next, if you can bring your awareness to your business, your career, or your education. Think about the best version of your business, career, or education in the year 2020. What does it look like? What are you doing? What do you feel? What do you feel as you're facing the best version in 2020 of your business and career? Lastly, I want you to think of yourself. How do you feel about you? If you were living your best life in 2020, how do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself if you're living your best life in 2020? What does it feel like? And next, just let yourself be in your best life. Let yourself be. If any thoughts come in of that's not possible or I don't think so, just exhale them out and let yourself for 1 full minute be in your best life of 2020. There are no limits. There are no financial constraints. There is nothing stopping you from living your best life. What does that feel like? Look around, see it, feel it, be it for this one moment. Okay, here's the $1,000,000 question. Are you ready? What is the one word that describes your best life in 2020? After everything you just envisioned, what is the one word that sums it all up? And I encourage you, don't overthink this. Just let that word rise, and that is it. Don't overthink it. Trust me. I do it all the time. I overthink it, and your word is your word. So what is the one word that describes your best life in 2020? And if you're feeling brave and like you want to share and you want a witness, because it is very powerful when people are visualizing and you're in this space and you share, it is super powerful. So if you feel called to share, please type in the comments your word for 2020. And don't be afraid if you've already picked a word for 2020 and this one's a little different. Don't worry. Just go with the word that comes up today. It doesn't mean you have to give up on the word you picked before. Just go with it. So I'm going to tell you my word. Okay, Rose feels peace. That sounds incredible, Rose. That's beautiful. My word is strong. Strong. And every time I feel it, I think, oh, that can't be it, but that's it. Healing. Thank you for sharing, Irma. Thank you. Peace, healing, stronger. Bold. Oh, you had mentioned this before, Isabel, and I get goosebumps. I got goosebumps right now. Bold. All right. I love it. The world needs you to be bold, Isabel. Good. Okay. Okay. Don't mind me. Act natural. I'm just reaching over to get my markers. Oh my gosh. Arrival. Oh, wow. That is awesome, Carrie. I love that. Okay. So now you're going to need your paper. And if you're still typing, that's fine. No worries. Take your time. So excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me share this process with you. I am so excited, so excited. Okay, so we're going to take your word. So mine was strong. And what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your pieces of paper and you're going to write your word in the middle. So I'm sorry if you can't see that, but it says strong. You write your word. So if your word was peace, you write it in the middle. If it was healing, if it was bold, if it was arrival, you write it in the middle, like this. Make sure there's lots of room on the outside. I'm going to set a timer. Now listen to me. There's a little rule before I tell you what we're going to do next. No overthinking, especially for those of you that live in your head. I'm one of those people. This is a time to be free and to not overthink things. Nothing is set in stone. What is important right now is that you stay connected to your expert and whatever comes up for you, you give it a voice. Okay, you promise? So I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. And for 4 minutes, we're going to make a mind map. And you're going to think of, your question is going to be, if I'm going to be peaceful for 2020, what needs to happen? What do I need to do? If I'm going to heal in 2020, what's everything that needs to happen in order for me to experience healing? If I'm going to be bold this year, what is everything I need to do to be bold? If I'm going to experience arrival, what is it that needs to happen for me to experience arrival? And what you're going to do is you're going to draw these little lines and you're going to write everything you need to do, every single little thing you need to do to be strong in 2020. And again, you're not going to overthink it. Even though you didn't say it, you all promised. So 4 minutes, go. Do not overthink this. Just write. Just trust in the process. I will reveal the next step in 4 minutes. I'm setting my timer for 4 minutes. Go. Please write everything you need to do to make your feeling for 2020 come true. Everything you need to do and accomplish, every little action, every little thought, everything you need to do in order to make your word happen. I am so happy you are here. So remember, you're writing your word for 2020 in the middle, and we're taking the next 4 minutes to write every single thing you need to do to make that word happen for 2020. What do you need to do to actualize your word? Just keep going. Don't overthink it and just keep going. What do you need to do in 2020 to actualize your word? What do you need to do to actualize your word in 2020? Okay, 45 seconds left. What do you need to do to actualize your word in 2020? Name it all. Ten, nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one. Okay, Carrie has a dilemma. A new word emerged during this part of the exercise. Same concept, better word. That's awesome, Carrie. That just means the more you're tuning in, you're getting more clear. And so this is what you do. You just scratch this one and then write your new word. Awesome. It just means you're getting clear. It's cool. Who says cool anymore? Oh, God. I can't tell you how delighted I am to share this with you. This is like a dream come true for my little nerdy self. All right, so next, you're going to look at your list. So here's my word, right? And I wrote all this stuff, this pretend stuff. Awesome. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to look at all the things you wrote. Hopefully you wrote a lot. You wrote a lot. And remember, this video is here for you if you want to do it again, if you're second guessing yourself, or if you just couldn't focus. There's no pressure. So you're going to look at everything you wrote, and you're going to ask yourself, if I want to actualize being strong or being bold or being peaceful, which one of these are game changers? So you're going to look at your list, and the ones that you feel like, yes, that is important, you're going to star them. Okay? It doesn't have to just be one. You can star as many as you want. Star all of the things that are game changers, that when you look at them, you're like, yes, yes, I need to do that. So go around, look at your whole list, and star everything that feels important to you. Everything. If they're all feeling important, then I just ask you to connect to yourself and say, okay, yes, but which are the most important? And pick the most important ones. I'm so glad you wrote a lot, Rose. That's awesome. That's the best when you write a lot. That means you just let yourself go, which is good. So look at your whole list and star the ones that are most important. Now, will you please let me know when you're done? Just say, I'm done. Should I put on my hype music again? I better tone it down. I'll just have a little a sip of my wine. Okay. Irma's done. Rose is done. Maria's done. Maria, is your family still with me? They probably think I'm a little crazy. That's all right. I'm a little crazy. Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. Yay. Okay, so now this is the fun part or the hard part, one of the two. What you're going to do, yes, again. It's okay. Crazy's good. So I'm happy they're still here. I'm impressed. All right. So next, you starred your game changers, right? You saw the things that you're like, yes, I got to do that. This is fun, but it's also the hard part. You have to look at what you just starred and pick the top 3. Pick the top 3 things. And this is life. You know, life is filled with all these options, but an important part of planning is learning to prioritize and pick the top 3. So pick the top 3 things that if you focus on those 3 things this year, you will live your best life in 2020. You will actualize your word. So pick your top 3 things, whatever they are, you're going to circle them. It should look like this. So you have your list and you circle your top 3. Now, if you only have 3 game changers, awesome, you're done. If you only have 2 that you pick that you identify are like the game changers, it's okay. It just means that you have 2 definite things you need to do, and that's all right. And at any time, if you have questions, please type them in the comments because look how I wrote on myself. I'm happy to answer them. Okay, does everyone have their 3? 3 things. Once you have your 3 things, okay, good. I want you to take another piece of paper and write them down like this. So you're going to write it down and you're going to have space below. Great. All right, everyone's doing wonderful. So you're going to have your 3 things. Okay. These 3 things have now become your guideposts. These are your coordinates. This is what is going to help you stay on course to create the year you want to create. But remember what I said, how if we leave it at what we've done so far, that's awesome. It will probably stay in your subconscious and it will probably affect you in the positive. But remember how I'm forgetting what it is, the name of people who fly planes. Oh, Lord have mercy. Or a captain of a ship. They have to adjust their sails. They have to adjust their coordinates. So if you never revisit this again, it's not going to be good. So right now, I'm going to show you how to use these 3 coordinates. Starting on Wednesday, we are in pilots. Thank you, Maria and Rose. Oh my goodness. Okay. So starting Wednesday, we're already in January 2020. Isn't that incredible? So we are going to think about January. So you're going to think about January 2020. you're going to think about your word, because you have your word, that if you actualize that word, you will live your best life in 2020. And you have your 3 coordinates. So thinking about January, I'm going to use myself as an example. I want to be strong. Strong is my word for 2020. And one of my things that will help me be strong is prayer. I have not been praying consistently, but if I just say one of my coordinates is prayer, that's pretty general. But when I think about January, what can I do in January to incorporate prayer? What I've decided to do is that I've picked a prayer that means a lot to me, and I have put in my calendar that I will pray every day this prayer for the next 30 days. I'm going to pray this prayer. So underneath my 1 prayer, I'm going to write everything I'm going to do for January to make sure that I pray. Okay? And then I'm going to go on to number 2. My number 2 thing for feeling strong is that I want to build a stronger body. So when I did my plan, I wrote all the things I need to do to be strong in my body. So I actually listed the workout I'm going to do. I'm going to do kettlebells 3 times a day. I'm going to walk this amount of times, etc. Does that make sense? So I want you to look at your word and then your 3 things you listed, and under each one, you're going to list what you're going to do in the month of January so that you can honor that coordinate and so that you can live your word for 2020. Now, one of you watching, if you don't mind sharing with the group what one of your things is, and then we can work through it together. If you don't mind sharing one of your things, one of your 3 game changers, that way we can give another example that's not just mine so that everyone can be very clear. And if you're thinking, this is so simple, it is so simple. It is so stinking simple, but we don't do it. Okay, Irma's word was healing. And Irma said one of her things is to put herself first. So Irma, what are some things you can do in January to put yourself first? What are some things you can do in January to put yourself first? Rose says one of her coordinates is don't stress over things she can't control. Don't stress over things I can't control. So Rose, what are some tangible things you can do in January to make sure that you don't stress over things you can't control? What are some tangible things? And I'm looking for things that aren't just ideas. They're actual things you can do to make sure that you don't stress over things you can't control. So the next step for Irma, she just covered her 1 coordinate, right? That in order for her to experience healing in 2020, she needs to put herself first. And she's asking herself, what can I do in January to put myself first? Where the rubber meets the road is when Irma starts to put it in her calendar. So calendars are a very personal thing. But whatever your system is, whether it's electronic or paper, putting it in your calendar, what it is you are going to do to put yourself first and when you're going to do it is very powerful. Okay, so are you all with me so far? because I don't want to move forward until I know you're all with me. We identified our word that will help us live our best life for 2020. We mind mapped all the things we could do to actualize that word. We starred our game changers and then picked the top 3. We wrote our top 3. These are our coordinates. And then we started to ask ourselves, what can I do in January to make sure that I honor these 3 coordinates? So Rose, thank you for being honest about how this is hard. It is hard. And I meant to mention this earlier, that at times it can come easy, but the time's going to come when you are trying to plan this and use it, and it gets really uncomfortable and you don't know what to do. And I want to give you a few guide points because it's a given you're going to get uncomfortable. All of you watching, at some point, if you honor this system and you listen to yourself and you plan on living your best life, you're going to get uncomfortable. It's just the way it is. And the best way to learn how to be uncomfortable, because we can't avoid it, it's just happening, is to just feel it and remember what I said in the beginning. You are the expert. So this is what you do in those situations where you have a few ideas, but it's a little challenging, because it's going to happen to all of us. At some point, it's going to get challenging. I want you to place your hand on your heart and ask yourself. So I'm going to use Rose as an example. What is the one thing I can do in January that will help me to, oh gosh, I have to go back to it. Okay, that will help me not to stress over things I can't control. What is the one thing I can do in January to help me avoid stressing about the things I cannot control? And the amazing thing is you will always know. You will always know. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Rose, because right now we all may be on the same page, but at some point, if you keep with this process, it's going to get uncomfortable and you're maybe not going to know what to do. And so it's very good to remember. I place my hands on my heart because it helps me focus inward. But remember, you are the expert of you. And a lot of the times we're fumbling and struggling because we're not consulting the expert. So ask yourself. Okay? All right, next. You're going to go through your 3 things. If you didn't get through all of it, when we're done with our call, I highly encourage you to ask yourself what you will do in January to meet your coordinates. And then I especially encourage you to start putting it in your calendar. All right, this is where the magic happens. If you are committed, so first I need to know, are you committed to living your best life this year? Like, are you really committed to your 2020 and making it the best you can for yourself? That's me perking my ears, waiting. All right, Rose is an absolutely yay, I'll take it. Carries, of course. Okay, so it's a little bit of a commitment, but if you are serious, Maria's a yes. Can I put a hell yeah to that? Okay, Irma's a go-to. Then if you are willing to commit 5 minutes or less to check in daily with yourself. You have your coordinates, right? You have your coordinates. And you check in the morning and you ask yourself, what am I going to do today to make this happen? And if you've done your homework, you already have things in your calendar and you might say, oh, I've already planned something for this. And yes, I have it taken care of. If you didn't, then you're able to check in. At night, you're going to take a few minutes. It takes usually 2 minutes or less to check in and say, how did I put myself first? I'm using Irma as an example. Or as Rose shared with us, how did I avoid stressing over things I didn't control today? And you're going to identify your wins and cheer for yourself. And if you didn't do so great that day, that's okay. You're going to ask yourself, how am I going to do better tomorrow? This is very important, to be consistent and constant. And if you can get this down, this will change your life forever. And we're not going to be rude to ourselves or mean to ourselves if we forget a day or two or even a week. Always just come back to it. Now, you check in with yourself in the morning and at night. And if you can, check in with yourself once a week to look at your week and ask yourself, how did I honor my 3 coordinates? How am I doing? What can I do better for next week? And very, very important, each month you check in. Now, if you don't have this question, you will at some point. You're going to ask yourself, what if my coordinates change? Because that can happen. That can happen. That maybe a part of being strong for me isn't going to be prayer anymore, because that's just a given. Let's say I get really good at it. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so we have some commitment. That's awesome. Now, if at some point in your journey, when you're checking in and you are looking and you decide one of your coordinates doesn't make sense anymore, guess what you're going to do? You're going to consult the expert. You're the expert. You're the expert. You're the expert. So you're going to ask yourself, what makes sense for me now? If I don't need to pray anymore to be strong, what do I need to do to be strong? What this process is teaching you to do is to be committed to yourself. You're incredible. There's no one else like you, not one person else out there like you, and you matter. And the reason we suffer is because we forget that we matter. We forget we're unique. We take it for granted and we go around just letting the wind push us around, and it is very disheartening. When you don't have direction, when you don't plan for your own best life, when you don't consult yourself, that is very lonely. It is very upsetting. It is very disconnecting. And so this process is teaching you and reminding you that you are the expert. You are the expert. No one else is going to make your life great. No one, not a lottery, not a job, nothing is going to make you great besides yourself. So I hope you will stay committed to this process. Remember to plan in the morning. Make sure that you're hitting all your coordinates throughout the day. At the end of the day, check in to see what went well, what didn't, and make some course corrections for the next day. Remember that at the beginning of the month, you can list everything you need to do for each one of your coordinates. If you want to go crazy with this and like really be powerful, put it into your planner. Commit to yourself. You matter, but it doesn't matter how many times I tell you this. If you don't put in the time and the commitment to check in with yourself, you won't believe it's true. So I want to ask you, what are your questions? What are your thoughts in regards to what we just did? Was this helpful? I'm just so excited. This is something I've been working towards for 20 years, and I have to tell you that it has honestly led me to really fulfilling my personal mission and living my own best life. And so I really pray that it helps you to connect to the best part of yourself and to live your own best life. Oh, Maria, I'm so glad. I am so glad. God bless your boys. They're pretty incredible. I had my children go through this, and it was really, it really helped me to get to know what matters to them. So Rose says, this has been great. I'm amazed that a new word came. I had chosen a different one weeks ago. Rose, I understand. I understand. And maybe both of the words are meant to be. Only you know. You're the expert of you. And I'm glad this was helpful, Carrie. That's wonderful. Well, those of you who joined me live, I will definitely be checking in with you. I want to ask you, what are you going to do with the information you learned today? What is your next step so that you can put into action some of the things that came up for you? What is your next step? Rose, I love that you're going to embrace both. I think that's incredible. Good. And Isabel, I'm glad this was helpful. I really think you should do it with your daughters. It will connect you to them, and I hope it's helpful to them. You're very, very welcome. So if before you leave, you share what is your next step? What are you going to do next? When you write it and there are witnesses, you are 3 times more likely to do it. So Maria's going to put things in her calendar. Carrie's going to set up her planner. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you all for letting me share this process with you. This has been really, really fun. And for me, as a little girl, I used to pretend I was doing these things, like to a pretend audience. And it's been really fulfilling for me to feel like I'm living what I dreamed about when I was little. So thank you for letting me share with you. I am praying for you to live your best life in 2020. I am visualizing you placing importance on what matters to you most. I am visualizing you accepting that you are the expert in your life. And it's up to you to connect to the absolute best part of yourself and to create your own best life for 2020. I am praying for your success and wishing you nothing but the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we have a lot of people putting things in their planner. That's awesome. All right, I'm rooting for you. All right, Isabel, great. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Rose. Thank you. I love you too, very much. Love and blessings to all of you. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, share it out so other people can try it. And thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. I will be looking at the chat. And if you have questions or suggestions, let me know, and I will answer them as best I can. Selmarie, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for accepting my prayer. That's beautiful. You are welcome. You're welcome, Maria. Thank you for your praise. Thank you. I receive it. Thank you. Have an incredible night, and thank you for watching and participating.